right, let's do this episode.
All right. Hi.
Hi. Oh my God, we've been recording this whole entire time.
Yes, because I'm like paranoid these days now.
We
with
were just
losing.
shouting out Dr. Sarah Ballantyne. Okay. She is so sweet. She sent us not one, but two books.
One for each.
Guys,
Yes.
this is great. Soon, actually, we have it on our schedule. We're going to be discussing a couple things on dieting and nutrition.
Yep.
And she sent us her book. It's such a huge accomplishment for someone to have a book, aka Julie. Not like
Yeah,
shameless.
but not like, I mean, this is a whole different level. But anyways.
Anyways, okay.
Anyways.
Anyone that writes a book is crazy awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you for this. And we can't wait to read it and get more information.
Definitely
learn.
going to include it in that future episode of ours.
know.
Give it a look. Look her up on Instagram. That's how she reached out to us. That's how we got to know
These
her.
are appendixes. This
Amazing.
has taken her forever. So thank you so much for this. We really appreciate it.
And daily on Threads, she mentions she gives you tips on like nutrition and all that. So give her a look. Definitely check her out. Sarah Ballantyne on Instagram and Threads, because it's a great follow. She's a fantastic follow, definitely.
New York Times best-selling author.
She's just wonderful. So
Honestly, thank you for thinking of us. We love this so much. Thank you.
yeah. So give her a look and stay tuned for this. This should be coming out next month on May. So yeah, actually we're recording. Yeah. So this month when you guys are seeing this. So yeah, thank you again, Dr. Ballantyne.
All right, Jules. So, hi guys, welcome back.
Yeah. So talking about Threads and all these amazing people that follow us on social media and whatnot.
Yes.
This is an episode
Yes.
from a listener on Threads.
Yes, and a request. We love getting requests. We love
yeah.
the engagement.
Yeah.
Thank
Keeps
you.
us motivated.
Yeah, it keeps us motivated. Thank
Yeah.
you guys so much. We're growing and we're loving it.
Yes.
And we can't wait to keep doing that.
I know.
And new things in the future.
I know. And this listener, so she is at kids, so KIZ_Smarty, SMARTY_where. Follow her. She reached out to us on Instagram and Threads, and she gave us this suggestion, which was really interesting. I had never.
Thank you so much.
I didn't even think about this, of how it relates to medicine, and it's a treasure trove of what I was able to get out of it. So let's dive into it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about electromagnetic fields in medicine.
EMFs.
Yeah, which we do all the time, actually. And I don't really think that anyone really ever talks about it.
I know. That's why when she mentioned it to me, I'm like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So when we talk about electromagnetic fields, or in short, EMF, in medicine, we're pretty much diving into a pretty fascinating area that blends physics and healthcare. So if y'all have listened to our previous episodes, you know how much I love physics.
Oh, yeah. Sarcastic.
Yeah, not
a lot
really.
of sarcastic
Okay.
banter right now.
So EMF is basically energy waves that are invisible, right? We can't see them, but they're there. But all around us, think of waves that your cell phones or your microwave uses. In medicine, these waves can be harnessed for some really good health benefits, but they also come with some concerns. And researchers are still trying to pretty much kind of understand what this could mean for us, okay, and if it impacts us. So electromagnetic fields, often invisible to us, are forms of energy created by electricity, and it moves through wires. Imagine electric fields like water pressure in a hose pushing electricity along. The more pressure or voltage, the stronger the electric field becomes. So these fields are measured in volts per meter. On the other hand, magnetic fields come to life when electricity actually flows, growing stronger with more electricity and fading away as you move further from the source. Guys, I'm giving you a little mini physics lecture.
I know. And
Okay.
trying to break it down as much as we can.
Yes.
You know, but you need to understand this in order to understand
To
what
keep
we're
on with the
talking about.
episode.
Yeah.
So just stay with us.
Yeah. This is broken down. We got this, guys.
Yeah. So while the electric field, okay, pops up with or without an appliance being on, magnetic fields needs the appliance to be active.
So think of your microwave,
Yes.
all those things.
That's why power lines are always surrounded by magnetic fields, because they're always on. Interestingly, while walls and objects can block electric fields, magnetic fields can travel through pretty much almost anything. And that's what we're kind of focused on our episode. It's the magnetic fields that we're focusing on.
Mhm.
So together, these electric and magnetic fields are known as electromagnetic fields. That's where the name comes from. And they're part of an electromagnetic radiation family. So the EMFs can be high frequency, like X-rays, okay, capable of directly damaging our cells if we have a lot of exposure to that.
Yep.
They can be lower in frequency, like radio waves or lights from our screens, which don't really harm our cells directly. The lower frequency EMFs, including those from like power lines, appliances, are part of our day-to-day lives and are measured in different units depending on their frequency.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to use that one.
All right. So now EMFs can come from both natural and man-made sources because we do have natural magnetic fields in the earth. So like, for instance, your north and your south poles have magnetic fields. And that's why like the compass needle tends to point north. If
Compass?
Compass.
Compass? Like compass needle.
Compass.
Compass needle. Yeah. Needle.
That's it.
Compass needle. Okay.
Swear. Anyway, it tends to point north if it's correct. You know, if it's not, then you should probably get a different one. So man-made EMFs are categorized into two different types. You have extremely low frequency, so ELFs, and which are radio frequencies. So EMFs. Okay, so these extremely low frequency EMFs are emitted by things like power lines, electrical wiring, you know, your everyday things like that you're going to encounter in your household that you wouldn't even notice that they're there. You know, things that are just in your house that you need for electricity. These are things that typically will not cause any harm to you. So it's even like your shaver, like regular things, you know? Then you have your radio frequency radiation, and this is a different type of EMF, and that comes with communication, specifically wireless communication devices. This includes your cell phones, your smart meters, your portable devices like tablets and laptops, okay? And then other common sources of radio frequency radiation are radio and TV signals. So think of anything that will communicate, you know, in long distances with each other. Communication-wise, that's what's going to cause this type of EMF, which is specifically radio frequency radiation. So even household microwave ovens, because again, if you're doing this type of communication, you're communicating that radioactive like type of energy from the outlet itself, so the microwave, into the food so you could warm it up. So that's in essence a sort like a type of communication, you know. So that's why they say like microwave ovens operate at these frequencies but are designed to keep radiation leakage at a minimum. Okay. And that's why you also have that myth of like, oh, if you're pregnant or anything like that, stay away from a microwave, all those things, you know. This is why. So for example, radio and TV signals vary in frequency. AM radio signals can travel long distances and are transmitted from large antennas, usually placed in restricted areas to try to minimize the public exposure. So I don't know, like at least me, when I was like hiking in Texas, there was like plenty of those places that you see like a huge ass antenna, and then it's like all blockaded by these really tall fences and whatnot. It's pretty much, you know, more than likely it's something like this. And then you have FM radio and TV signals that they use smaller antennas located on high towers, and the exposure levels near these towers are generally low. So that's why FM and AM are pretty different. So additionally, devices like Wi-Fi routers and cordless phones also emit radio frequency radiation, but at levels much lower than even cell phones. So in general, the closer you are to an EMF source, the stronger the exposure. But however, the strength of the EMFs diminishes significantly, as she had said, as you distance yourself from the source.
Everyone give a round of applause for Julie, okay, for giving us a full physics lesson in less than 2 minutes.
I was like, what is she saying?
What do, there's a lot to learn from here. Professors from universities.
I was like, what is she talking
Hire
about?
her. I'm just kidding.
Some
things never change. No, some things never change. I fucking hate physics. Okay, great. So, literally, Jules, as you were talking about electromagnetic frequencies, I was like, I hate this so much.
I I know, but you need to kind of know a little
No, I don't.
the gist of it
Nope.
to understand what's happening here.
Not really.
I think so.
You go to an MRI, take everything off. If not, it's going to come off your body.
We're going to talk about MRIs
Yeah, I
now.
know. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about visible light spectrum. A little bit more interesting, I will say, than the electromagnetic fields.
Mind you,
okay?
it's like a super small little sliver in the whole spectrum.
God, Kiz Smartyware. Why did you have to request this episode? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. This is actually, it's probably really interesting for a lot of people. So just, God, why? Okay. All right. Visible light spectrum. So the visible light spectrum in an electromagnetic field refers to the range of light that is visible to the human eye. Okay. So this spectrum includes all colors that we can see, from violet to red. In the context of medicine and health, the visible spectrum plays a significant role in various therapeutic and diagnostic applications. So this is where we talk about all those things that we use in imaging to create images and to be able to read them and see what they tell us. Okay.
And then even in like UV light,
Yes.
this falls under that spectrum. And then the infrared falls on the
Therapies.
other side of the spectrum. So yeah.
So lots of therapies and lots of imaging that we use all this physics, okay, to help us in our diagnosis and treatment and management of things. So color therapy or chromotherapy, this is a form of treatment that uses visible spectrum of light to improve physical and mental health. Different colors within the visible spectrum are believed to have different therapeutic properties. For example, blue light is often used to treat seasonal affective disorder. Tune into our episode on which one was it? I think it's anxiety.
I think it was part of anxiety.
Yeah, I think so. And then it can also help regulate sleep patterns by influencing the production of melatonin, which is the hormone that controls sleep-wake cycles. Tune into our melatonin episode.
Yep.
All right, so red light, on the other hand, uses red light therapy to promote wound healing, reducing inflammation, and improve skin conditions. I just want to put a photo of us. You have a red light therapy mask. Oh my God, you should have totally just worn it for...
Oh my God, I'm going to fall.
Oh my God.
Red light therapy. Chromotherapy. Part of it. There it is.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Look at dude, this is Mario.
He hates it. He walks in and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to...
It doesn't hurt your eyes? It's
No.
okay? Okay.
It's totally fine.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm trying to stay young.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I need to buy that. Send me the link. So vitamin D synthesis. All right. So YouTube is going to have a blast with this.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah. She's back and normal. Okay, so sunlight, which includes light from the visible spectrum, plays a crucial role in the synthesis of vitamin D in our skin. So while UV light is primarily responsible for this, the overall exposure to natural light, including the visible spectrum, okay, or the visible colors that we see, contributes to our health and supporting our bone health, immune function, and also our mood regulation. Okay. So there's circadian rhythm regulation. Our circadian rhythm, or our internal body clock, is significantly influenced by natural light, including the visible spectrum. Exposure to the natural daylight helps regulate our sleep patterns, mood, and overall health. So, for example, exposure to bright light, especially in the morning, can help synchronize our body's internal clock, which promotes alertness during the day and better sleep at night. So there's a lot, we talk a lot about this with babies and their sleep and all of that.
Yeah.
So we always say when babies are sleeping, it should be a totally dark room.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that when they go to sleep and you just shut off the lights, it is like their body already knows. Okay?
Exactly. And that's why they sometimes tell you like a little bit of a life hack, I guess you could call it, that if you need to wake up like early and you don't want to feel like that grogginess and you just want to do it a little bit more naturally, to leave the windows open. And then that will help you because the natural light will come in. That will kind of help you out in that grogginess. Of course, it all depends on where you live and the
And what
lighting
time you
and all
wake
that.
up.
Exactly, all that. But if you wake up at a time that the sun is typically out,
Yeah.
they say that that's an easier way of like, doing it.
All right. So, potential risk and precautions. While the visible spectrum of an electromagnetic field has a lot of benefits, it's important to use light therapy under guidance. Avoid excessive exposure to artificial light sources, especially before bedtime, because it can potentially disrupt your sleep pattern. For instance, if you do blue light from screens, that's why we usually say no screen time before bedtime because screens can interfere with sleep and also suppress melatonin production, which is just going to affect your sleep pattern. So, all in all, the visible spectrum in electromagnetic field is pretty much very important, integral to various medical and health related applications, from treating skin conditions, like Julie just showed us, and regulating sleep patterns to synthesizing essential vitamins. Understanding how the different colors of light can affect our health and can help us harness these benefits while taking precautions to minimize potential risks.
Yep. And I'll put here, if anybody's watching us this specific episode, I'll put here the electromagnetic spectrum, as much as Evie hates it. But it's very interesting to see,
I hate it.
the vast spectrum of it, and then the visible light spectrum. So the little tiny sliver that we are actually able to see with our eyes is like the smallest thing in this whole big spectrum. So if you go from like lower hertz to higher hertz, the lower hertz supposedly, according to ongoing research, and we're going to talk about it as we go down in this episode, the less likelihood you are to encounter bad things, in essence, like in layman terms, like cancers and whatnot. And then the higher you go up in that frequency in hertzes and all that, so you're going to like X-rays, gamma rays, etc., then, you're going into that radiation zone of causing cancers and all those really, really bad things.
Your skin melting off your face, it's just
great things you don't want to encounter. And then, of course, the visible light spectrum, the one thing that we could see lies right in between that. Literally right. It's like
it's so
border.
tiny.
Yeah. Tiny. And it's like just that one line
Sliver
that separates like the good and the bad. And that's what we're able to see. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. And I'll put it up right here if you are watching on YouTube. So how EMF is used in medicine. First off, EMF had some great uses in medical treatments and diagnostics. So for example, like I had briefly mentioned, in cancer treatment, it's not only about zapping the body with high energy, but using specific levels of EMF to potentially slow down or even stop the growth of cancer cells. So it's also being looked at to help improve the effectiveness of existing treatments like chemotherapy. Like she had briefly mentioned, it also helps out with healing and regeneration. So there's also exciting research on how EMF can help heal wounds faster and even regenerate tissue. And that would be incredible, especially for the aging aspect of medicine. So one way they use this energy is called pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. So PEMF. Imagine your body as a battery that sometimes needs a little bit of an extra charge to fix what's broken, right? So PEMF sends little zaps of energy that you can't feel into your body to give your cells that extra charge that they need so they could start fixing themselves. It's like giving your body like a tiny jump start to help it heal, like for cars.
Yeah.
So PMF can do a lot of good things. For example, for pain, it's a natural painkiller that can help with sudden or long-lasting pain by helping your body make its own feel-good chemicals, like we had talked about in previous episodes, like dopamine, serotonin, etc. And by turning down the volume on pain signals. So for bones and muscles, if you have a broken bone that's not healing well, or you're dealing with a lot of pain from a condition like arthritis, PEMF can help your bones and muscles repair themselves. And I actually saw this happen in real life with Mario when he broke one of his metatarsals.
I didn't know you broke one.
Yeah, he broke a metatarsal back in San Antonio a few years ago. He stepped on a Lego.
Okay, great. Of course. Thanks, MR.
Exactly. And then he just landed the wrong way. Snap.
This is literally a typical parent story. I stepped on a Lego and I broke my foot.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And this technology helped him heal his metatarsal, like I think, not by half, but a significant amount.
Yeah.
Like a significant amount. He was like on a freaking scooter.
Great.
and everything because of the freaking metatarsal.
Lego. Because of the Lego.
Yeah, exactly. So then he had to put that on for like a couple of minutes, like I don't know how many times a day, and it was just like a wrap, and it used this technology.
I can't believe Mario broke his foot from a Lego.
I thought you knew that.
I didn't know this.
Dude,
That's so funny.
He's very touchy about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Very touchy
I
about
just
that
imagine
injury.
because I just saw Mario at Disney Springs in
Yeah.
the Lego store, so
Yeah.
now he's probably like, I fucking hate this.
100%.
But he goes for his son.
Mind you, he's broken like actual fingers and all that stuff, like freaking rolling around doing like jujitsu and shit like that. But never has he been as pissed off as when he broke it because of a fucking Lego. Which I get. I get it. That's gotta be like, yeah. I couldn't even believe it. When it happened,
If
I'm
any
like,
of our listeners have a Lego story,
Yeah.
please just let us know.
Sympathize.
Yeah.
sympathize
know.
and let us know because yeah, like I didn't even believe it. I'm like, there's no way. You probably strained it or you jammed it.
Yeah,
whatever.
no fracture.
Total fracture. He got an X-ray. It was a total fracture. I'm like, God damn
Oh my
it.
god.
Yeah.
Thanks, Legos.
Yeah. So anyway, so more on how this would help out. So for blood flow, just like a plant needs water, your body actually needs blood flow to bring in nutrients and take away waste. So PMF can help get your blood moving to the right places, especially where you're hurt, which can help you heal faster and reduce swelling. Also for muscle strength, if you're recovering from an injury or surgery, PMF can help your muscles get stronger or work better, which is important to help you get back into normal activities. Then you have transcutaneous, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Electrical nerve stimulation.
Have you ever
TENS.
tried these?
No, I haven't.
So I
Oh
have
wait,
them.
are those a thingy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
They're like
yeah, I
little
have.
patches. They're sticky patches, and then it delivers like electrical,
Do you guys?
impulses.
If you guys
and it
want to see
contracts
that,
your muscles.
if you guys want to see that, we could do that on if we reach 50 patrons.
Yeah.
50 patrons.
What do they want to see? The tens?
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, we could do it anyways.
50 patrons, and we'll do it.
Julie's bargaining. But so I wore a tens unit one time and I cranked up the intensity to it. Jules, I swear to God, my muscle was like,
I'm sure.
yeah, it works. It works for sure.
Jesus Christ. Okay,
Which
so
is insane to me how we can
Right?
electrically like force my muscle to contract.
well, we're just electrical.
Yeah,
We really, really are. Like,
we're electrical.
I know.
That's cute. Hashtag we're electrical. Cute. Okay.
Okay, so this technique uses EMFs to provide pain relief. A device sends small electrical pulses to the body through electrodes, like she had said, like those little patches placed on the skin. This can help block pain signals from reaching the brain and stimulate production of endorphins, which are natural painkillers. It's commonly used for conditions like back pain or arthritis. Then you have transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS. And this is another therapeutic use where magnetic fields stimulate nerve cells in the brain. It's often used to treat depression and other neurological conditions by influencing the electrical activity of the brain in specific ways. Then you have bone repair and wound healing, as we have briefly mentioned before. EMFs are also used to accelerate healing of bones and wounds, which is that little wrap that Mario had used that time. And it really did work, guys. And insurances do cover it. You just have to call them.
Okay.
Call them. They will cover it. We went through that. And we went through that in a resident health insurance.
Okay.
So if a resident health insurance covers it, your health insurance may just cover it. So give it a shot. Anyway, so the fields can stimulate the growth and repair of tissues, helping to speed up recovery times for injuries like fractures or surgical wounds. Then you have nerve stimulation, which is more on what she was talking about, where you tense up and whatnot when you put those patches on.
The tens does that too.
Yeah. So EMF can stimulate nerves and tissues in the body. This can be used to manage pain or help with diseases that affect how organs function by gently nudging nerves to behave in certain beneficial ways. So yeah, those are pretty much some techniques.
So how does this work? Our nerves use electricity to communicate. They send signals to and from the brain to tell our bodies what to do. When EMFs come into play, they can actually change the way that electrical signals work. It's like when you use a magnet to move metal fillings. Fillings?
Yeah, I just spelled
said
it
that.
wrong.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm
no,
like filings.
It's
okay.
me. I spelled it
Fillings.
wrong.
Okay. Without touching them, EMFs can influence the nerves in a similar way. So, different reactions. Not all nerves will react the same way to an EMF. Some might get more active while others might not respond much at all. Sometimes they do like testings
Yeah.
too. So they'll trial it for you and see if it works, okay? It's like how some people love roller coasters and some don't. The reaction depends on the type of nerve and what it's currently doing. So, health implications. There's a lot of research going on about the EMFs, how it might help or harm our health. For example, some studies suggest that EMFs could help with healing and treating depression, while others are looking into whether it could cause things like headaches or sleep problems. Safety measures, because we're not totally sure about all the effects of EMFs, there are guidelines and safety measures in place to make sure that the levels we're exposed to are within what we consider safe. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about diagnostic tools. All right. So MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging, something that we see a lot in medicine. Okay.
Super useful.
Yes. Very useful and extremely informational.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the most well-known uses of EMFs in medicine is an MRI. These devices use strong magnetic fields and radio waves to create detailed images of the organs and tissues inside the body. It's like taking a super detailed photograph of your insides, which help doctors diagnose various conditions without having to perform surgery. So if you get an MRI, right, you can do cuts of the MRIs. And then basically when you look at an image, you're scrolling through the cuts. So you see everything almost like if it was a 3D picture. Okay.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
Yeah, it is really incredible. And then it also depends on the cuts too. So if you do an MRI that doesn't have a lot of cuts, you might miss some things.
Right.
That, because it goes like by cut in planes.
Right.
Okay. But still, it's extremely detailed. It's way better than what we have with an X-ray.
Yeah. Well, X-rays don't look at tissues.
At all. Yeah. I mean, you can see some sort of changes on an X-ray, but truly it's not going to show you the detail that an MRI shows you.
Right.
So health concerns with EMF. On the flip side, there are some concerns about EMF, and how it affects our health. There's ongoing research on whether EMF exposure might have some negative effects. For example, oxidative stress. This is a fancy term for when there's an imbalance in our body between free radicals, which can damage cells. Think of it as in like pollution in our bodies, and antioxidants, which protect our cells. So some studies suggest that EMFs might increase this stress, which could potentially lead to damage to a cellular level. There are some reports of symptoms like headaches, sleep disturbances, and fatigue associated with EMF exposure. The science isn't clear cut on it, but the researchers are still trying to figure it out. But an MRI, like the one that I just talked about, is considered safe, even in pregnancy.
Yeah,
Okay?
which is big.
Yeah. So risks, high level exposure in short term. So immediate effects, if you're exposed to really high levels of an electromagnetic field for a short period, it can mess with your body's functions. This isn't common, but it's something that scientists can agree to be harmful. So low level exposure over the long term, cancer concerns. Children. Research has been conducted to determine if there's a link between non-ionizing electromagnetic fields, EMFs, in cancer risk in children, particularly leukemia and brain tumors. While some early studies suggest that possible connection between living near power lines and childhood leukemias, more recent research has produced mixed results. Most studies have not found a significant association, except in rare cases of very high magnetic field exposures in homes, which is uncommon.
So we're talking about that lower frequency in the EMF. When you're looking at the EMF spectrum, we're talking in specific in this portion about that lower hertz, but for a long period of time.
Yeah, and there's people that measure it.
Exactly.
All right, so a few polled analysis have indicated a slight increase in leukemia risk for children with the highest EMF exposures, but these cases are rare and the results are not really that conclusive. The exact relationship between EMF exposure and increased leukemia risk is still really not clear. Household electrical appliances do emit higher magnetic fields than power lines, but because they are used for short periods and exposure decreases with distance, they are not consistently linked to an increased risk of childhood leukemias. Wi-Fi, commonly used in schools, have been extensively studied by the UK Health Protection Agency, which found exposure levels are well below the maximum recommended limits.
Yeah.
So, high quality studies have not shown any biological effects of Wi Fi exposure. Good,
Yeah.
because I live on Wi Fi.
Yeah, I think we all do these days.
So, few studies have looked at cancer risks in children living near cell phone base stations, and none have found an increased risk of pediatric tumors. Research into whether parental exposure to high levels of magnetic fields before conception or during pregnancy affects the risk of cancer in their children has been inconsistent and really inconclusive. And I can imagine that study is super hard to follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lastly, studies on whether magnetic fields exposures affects the prognosis or basically the long-term results or survival with children with leukemia has also been inconsistent. So a large analysis involving data from several countries found that there was no link between EMF exposure and survival for relapse risk in children in acute lymphoid leukemia, so ALL, which is one of the most common causes of leukemia in kids.
Yeah. So she went over children, obviously. Now adults. So for people at home, the majority of studies have not found a connection between the low-level EMFs that come from household electricity and breast cancer, because breast cancer is one of the really well-known ones for adults, at least. There have been a few studies that suggested there might be a link, but only one of these studies had results that were statistically significant. So in the workplace, earlier studies from the 1980s and 1990s suggested that certain jobs involving exposure to low-level EMFs, like working at power stations or with telephone lines, might be linked to a higher chance of getting cancers like leukemia, brain tumors, and even male breast cancer. Yes, men, you can get breast cancer. It's not only for women.
No.
So, however, these studies mostly use job titles to estimate EMF exposure, which is obviously not very precise. So most recent research, which has used better methods to measure actual EMF exposure, generally hasn't found an increased risk of these cancers among workers. For people who work with radiofrequency radiation, like radar or microwave technology, the research is limited. One large study of U.S. Navy workers didn't find a higher rate of brain tumors in those likely exposed to radar, but there was an increase in a type of leukemia among certain electronic technicians. Other studies have hinted a possible increased risk of brain cancer in people who work with radiofrequency or microwave emitting equipment, but these findings aren't consistent. For example, electrical utility workers and employees at wireless communication product manufacturers didn't show higher rates of brain tumors or leukemia compared to the general population. And a study of British police officers also found no link between radiofrequency EMF exposure from their radios and cancer risk. So overall, the current, at least current right now, evidence doesn't suggest, strongly support the idea the exposure of non-ionizing, so the lower hertz in that frequency, in that whole EMF spectrum of EMS, whether at home or at work, increases the risk of cancer, at least not right now, okay?
All right, so electromagnetic hypersensitivity. Some people report feeling various symptoms like skin redness, fatigue, and nausea, which is believed to be caused by EMF exposure. However, there's no strong scientific evidence linking these symptoms together, but those are symptoms.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do experts say today? So safety guidelines. There are international guidelines in place to limit the amount of EMF exposure. It's aimed at protecting us from the known harmful effects of high levels of EMF. These guidelines are based on what our current science tells us, which as of now doesn't fully support the idea that low-level EMF exposure causes long-term health issues or cancer, okay? So ongoing research, the truth is there's still so much we don't know about EMFs. Researchers are continuously studying EMFs to get clearer pictures of their health effects as they learn more, and that they update the safety guidelines to keep everyone protected. So in a nutshell, high levels of EMFs can definitely be harmful, but in the short term, the jury is still out on the long-term effects on the low-level exposure. So the big picture, EMF in medicine is a double-edged sword, okay? On one hand, it offers some groundbreaking ways to treat and heal the body. On the other, it poses some risks that needs to be carefully studied and understood. It's a hot topic in the medical world, and lots of ongoing research is trying to nail down exactly how we use the fields safely and effectively in healthcare. And it can definitely be groundbreaking in the future too if we kind of get a handle on it.
Exactly. So currently we are using it for good things like, treating cancers and whatnot, but they're just exactly as we had said, it's a double-edged sword. It could treat cancers, but it could actually maybe even cause certain cancers. But the jury's still out on that. A lot of more research has to go into it. It's hard. It's hard to give a definitive answer, at least currently, right now, April 20th, 2024.
Yeah, but still super interesting.
Super interesting because there's definitely a lot of its uses in the medical world as of today.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure that as technology progresses, there's going to be even more, So thank you so much, Threads, for following up with us.
Yeah.
Suggesting this.
And suggesting it. Please keep the suggestions coming on. We love researching all of these things.
Absolutely. We love engaging with you guys and like following up with you guys. We have, of course, a never ending list of things that we want to like touch upon, research, and like
But we
make
do
content on.
prioritize the suggestions.
Exactly. As soon as you guys give us a suggestion, we put it all the way to the top of the list. So whatever it is that you want to hear, see, whatever, let us know and we will prioritize it. And keep doing everything you guys are doing. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Funny Medicine Podcast helps support us. And we have a ton of really awesome episodes in there too that are exclusive for those of you that subscribe to it. And then, of course, follow us on all forms of social media. Twitter, Instagram, Meta, Facebook, Threads, because that's our favorite right now. Anybody and everywhere. We'll see you there, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.